The Breaking Bad universe offers us a whole host of different brands of psychopath. Organized, narcissistic, explosive. But I don't think any of them feel quite as chilling as Todd Alquist. With manipulators like Gus or Walt, we understand the logic of their actions. We can see the strategy at play. And with loose cannons like Tuco, our defenses shoot up. We know we're in danger. Whereas with Todd, anything can just happen out of nowhere.
No! No!
When actor Jesse Plemons joined the series, Todd's character description was pretty minimal. Fresh-faced, innocuous, eager to please, but with something to hide. But that something to hide turned out to be a cold psychopathic instinct, a lack of empathy, a shallow emotional range, and a proclivity for cruelty. The actor assumed a backstory for the character similar to the Peekaboo child from Season 2, that his mother was probably an addict and his father was nowhere to be seen, leaving a father figure void deep inside for his uncle to fill. But while Todd does have some superficial qualities that make him appear just as human as anyone else, there appears to be a missing puzzle piece, contexts and moral understandings he's incapable of grasping. The actor suggested, I think he's perhaps on the spectrum, and he just doesn't read cues all that well, including his own. And this would make sense, as there is a ruthless practicality to Todd. Once he has a specific goal, emotion never comes into the equation. Whether he achieves good or bad in the process doesn't seem to impact him whatsoever. It's just about what gets him closer to his target. This is why when Jesse and Walt make a point of emphasizing to Todd that no one can ever find out that this train heist happened, they had no idea what they were programming their subordinate to do. As when Todd sees the young boy on the bike as a witness, he does an immediate calculation and thinks he's doing what his bosses would expect of him. Therefore, afterwards, no matter how much his decision is berated, he still doesn't understand why he's being punished, stating that it was us or him and I chose us, and I would do it again, displaying zero remorse. What's strange is that, on a surface level, sometimes Todd appears to do the right thing before his sinister motivations are revealed. For instance, when Jesse is about to be shot in the desert, Todd is the one who saves him. But not because it's the right thing to do, but because they need to find out what he told the feds in case it involves them. Mere practicality. He then promises Walt that once they get what they need, they'll kill him afterwards.
And then, we take care of the job after that.
But notice how at no point in Todd's explanation do you get the feeling that they're talking about a fellow human being. He sounds more like a mechanic who's asking the owner if they can disassemble his car for parts before they scrap it. Then later, Todd appears to spare his life again, campaigning to Jack that they can use him to cook for them, that no matter how much money they have, they could always do with more. But really this all feeds into his underlying desire to impress Lydia, as Jesse can get their product back up to Heisenberg levels of purity after she was disappointed with the quality levels before. So whether he's taking lives or saving lives doesn't matter to him, it's just about moving closer to his personal objective. Todd appears to have picked up certain social cues from watching others interact, which gives the impression that he could be, on some level, a normal person. But no matter what he does, everything is still just slightly off. With Lydia, he appears to harbor a schoolboy crush, where he'll do anything to be closer to her. And it's the little details that highlight how much he cherishes her, like purposely drinking out of the same side of the mug as her lipstick stain. Then when he meets up with her, he dresses smart, like he's going on a date, and subtly orders the same chamomile tea that she does to give the impression that they have things in common. Then later in El Camino, it's revealed that he made a snow globe with what appears to be Lydia sitting up on a pedestal in a teacup. So Todd is capable of obsession, affection, and devotion. He'll do anything for her. This is why when he gently touches her arm, not realizing that she's only letting him out of fear of what might happen if she rejects him and so she can continue to manipulate him, he offers up Jack's men to threaten her buyers into compliance. To him, this is a romantic gesture, as if he's her high school boyfriend protecting her from bullies. Which is further emphasized in the scene where they wipe out Declan's men. Due to Lydia's discomfort, Todd tells her to close her eyes, takes her hand and guides her through the sea of dead bodies like her white knight. From his perspective, this is a Disney movie. They're connecting, the equivalent of two office workers bonding by the water cooler.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
But then when Jack has to finish Declan off with a final shot, it's clear that Lydia finds this whole ordeal disturbing, whereas Todd doesn't even flinch, calmly comforting her with a "sorry about that," as if it's only a minor irritation. Todd is like a human Turing test. He's programmed with all the sayings of a decent human being without actually being one. For instance, when he sees how devastated Walt is after witnessing Hank's death, he mutters, "sorry for your loss." When he breaks into Skylar's home to threaten the life of her child, he still maintains good manners by calling her ma'am, before asking if there's anyone else in the house who he would presumably kill or subdue. When he calls to Andrea's door in the dead of night, he sickeningly introduces himself as Jesse's friend and says "nice to meet you," so that he can lure her into a false sense of security before blasting a hole in the back of her head. But it's only in El Camino that we really get an understanding of just how much of a detached monster Todd actually is. He starts off the day by asking Jesse, "Everything good?" Which may be polite, but is absolutely ridiculous in the context of him being imprisoned as his personal slave. He then chats to him about the weather and what he thinks the chance of rain is, as if they're two free men just hanging out for pleasure, ignoring the obvious resentment and power imbalance in their dynamic. After disgustingly licking his hand to fix Jesse's hair, treating him like a toy doll, he enlists his help for a mysterious project in his home. Still making small talk once they arrive, asking Jesse how he likes his place and how he's considering painting it a different colour. Before it's revealed that there's been a dead body in Todd's kitchen this entire time, which means he did everything up until now, the small talk about the weather and the idle chit-chat about the colour of his living room, while his innocent cleaning lady was rotting away on his kitchen floor. She's had no emotional impact on his day at all, like a bag of trash he has to check off his to-do list. Which is why when Jesse reacts emotionally to the sight of her body, Todd's pitiful attempts at appearing remorseful ring hollow.
Okay, please don't, make me feel worse than I already do.
If he does feel anything that even resembles remorse, it's only out of practicality. He feels awful about how inconvenient this is to him. Not only will they have to bury the body, but now he won't have a good cleaner anymore. He somehow views this as if they're both victims of circumstance. She sadly had to be killed, and he sadly had to be the one to kill her. Oh well. But it turns out that her only crime was stumbling across the money hidden in Todd's books. And similar to the boy on the bike, he's been programmed to believe that you can't take any chances. All witnesses must be eliminated. But despite the gruesome reality unfolding before Jesse's eyes, Todd still offers him a bowl of soup, as if that's a priority right now.
You want soup? I got chicken noodle, chicken and stars, cream and chicken.
This is where Todd's true psychopathy is exposed. He's just following the social protocol. Someone must have taught him that when you have a visitor, you should offer them food or drink. After you bury someone, you should say some nice words about them. When someone loses a loved one, you say sorry for your loss, failing to realize that these social cues mean nothing on their own. They don't magically make up for what you've done or show you in a better light. Talk is cheap, it's actions that people are judged on. But Todd is incapable of distinguishing between the two concepts. For him, as long as he says he's sorry or admits what he did was bad, then he deserves forgiveness, and the whole thing basically didn't happen. As to him, it emotionally didn't. Because while others are capable of experiencing a wide range of emotions, Todd's are dull, blunt, and shallow, which is how he always maintains this calm, steady demeanor regardless of what's going on. He's simply not there. But from re-watching Breaking Bad, I couldn't help but feel as if Todd perfectly embodies the idea of evil Jesse. The dark, detached criminal that Jesse might sound like on paper, but just isn't in real life. Jesse liked to play a tough guy, but he was from a decent family. Sure, he may have had some criminal connections, but they weren't solid and he wasn't respected. While Todd comes from a bloodthirsty family of criminals, and this difference in upbringing shows throughout the series. For example, when Walt introduces the idea of taking out Gale, Jesse pleads with him that there's got to be another way. But when Walt reveals Mike's body in the trunk of his car, Todd just looks at him, accepts it, and says okay. Then when Jesse calls to Gail's door, he's crying, wounded, devastated about what he's about to do. Whereas Todd just wipes out Andrea after telling her this isn't personal. When Jesse learns Gus is using children to run his business, he's willing to risk his own life to take a stand and do what's right. Whereas Todd personally shoots that boy on the bike on a whim. And while Jesse is tormented by the weight of his crimes, Todd keeps that tarantula as a trophy for what he did that day. So although they may be involved in the same business, and technically criminals, they have completely different values. This is why when Jesse finally gains the upper hand on Todd, holding him at gunpoint, Todd is the one who remains calm, cool, and collected. He feels no fear. Whereas Jesse is brought to tears, crumbling in front of his tormentor until he's diffused by a simple offer.
What kind of pizza do you like, Jesse?
It's no coincidence that both of these characters are the only ones to consistently refer to Walt as Mr. White throughout the series.
Hey, Mr. White, how you doing?
Mr. White said the fumes aren't good to breathe.
You really shouldn't have come back, Mr. White.
I can't do it, Mr. White.
They're both his students, his partners, but they also represent opposing angels sitting on his shoulder. Jesse has always appealed to Walt's better nature, whereas Todd enables his darkest instincts. He doesn't question, he only obeys. This is why once Jesse is cast aside in Season 5, Walt and Todd can rack up millions of dollars without any issue, as things only become morally complex when someone involved is actually moral. So although there are so many psychopathic villains in Breaking Bad, none of them feel quite as cold-blooded as Todd Alquist. The polite face of death that's incapable of feeling remorse because he doesn't really understand why what he did was wrong in the first place. So if you made it this far, firstly, thank you for watching, but if you could now click like, subscribe, and the notification bell, as otherwise that pesky algorithm will continue to suppress my videos from your feed.